June 5th, 1944, 11:47 p.m. Somewhere in England, a Spanish man sits at a radio transmitter, furiously typing Morse code. His fingers are shaking, not from fear, from rage. His message to Nazi Germany is essentially screaming in dots and dashes. "Where were you? I had critical intelligence. The invasion is starting, and you weren't listening." The man's name is Juan Pujol García. The Nazis know him as Agent Arabel, their most valuable spy in Britain. What the Nazis don't know? Juan is working for the British. Tomorrow morning, 156,000 Allied soldiers will storm the beaches of Normandy, the largest amphibious invasion in human history, D-Day. Juan's job tonight? Convince Hitler's generals that Normandy is a distraction, that the real invasion is coming somewhere else, somewhere that doesn't exist. The radio crackles. Finally, the Germans respond. "We're listening now." Juan smiles, takes a breath, and begins typing the most important lie of World War II. But to understand how a Spanish chicken farmer with zero training became the most successful double agent in history, we need to go back. 1919, Barcelona, Spain. 7-year-old Juan Pujol García doesn't fit anywhere. His father owns a textile factory, liberal, secular, believes in progress. His mother is deeply Catholic, believes in obedience and tradition. At age 7, his parents send him to a Catholic boarding school run by Marist monks. Strict rules, constant discipline, prayer before every meal. Juan hates it, gets into fights, argues with teachers. Eventually, one teacher humiliates him in front of the class. Juan walks out, never comes back. At 13, he's working in a hardware store. No diploma, no connections, just a kid who's good at talking to people. He picks up languages naturally. Catalan from home, Spanish from the streets, French from customers, later English from books, but languages aren't his real skill. His real skill is reading people, understanding what they believe, then becoming whatever they need him to be. This skill saves his life during the Spanish Civil War. 1936, Spain tears itself apart. Fascists versus Republicans, brother against brother. Juan gets drafted by the Republicans. They throw him in prison for coming from a bourgeois family. Later, he ends up in Franco's nationalist army. They beat him for having Republican sympathies. Both sides abuse him. Both sides suspect him. Both sides are partially right and completely wrong. By the time the war ends in 1939, Juan has learned something crucial. Ideology kills people, but a man without ideology can survive anything. Then World War II starts. 1941, Lisbon, Portugal, neutral territory. Juan walks into the British embassy with a proposal. He wants to be their spy. The embassy official barely looks up from his paperwork. The official asks about intelligence training. Juan has none. Military experience? Just a conscript who hated every moment. Contacts in Germany? Zero. The official asks what exactly Juan offers. Juan pauses, searches for the right word, finally says, imagination. The official shows him the door. Juan tries 3 more times over the following weeks, 3 more rejections. So Juan does something insane. He goes to the Germans instead, walks into the German embassy in Madrid, introduces himself as a Spanish nationalist who despises the British, claims he can gather intelligence in England. The Abwehr, German military intelligence, is interested but skeptical. They've seen plenty of amateurs who promise everything and deliver nothing. They give him a test, invisible ink, a basic codebook, instructions on dead drops, no real training. Most amateur spies would fail immediately. Juan does something brilliant. He never goes to England. 1941 to 1942, Lisbon. Juan sits in a public library surrounded by British train schedules, tourist guidebooks, newspapers, and a map of Liverpool. He's never been to Britain, has no intention of going, but he's about to convince Nazi Germany that he's their best agent in London, using only publicly available information against professional intelligence officers. His first report describes Liverpool's docks. He copies ship names from newspapers, adds fictional details about troop movements, makes it deliberately dull and bureaucratic. Real intelligence reports are boring. The Germans love it. This feels authentic, not dramatic, not exciting, just tedious documentation. His second report invents a sub-agent, a Portuguese sailor who works on British merchant ships. Pure fiction. Subscribe to Hidden Truth Files. Juan expands his network. Each fictional agent has a purpose: a Swiss businessman, a Venezuelan student, a Welsh soldier with a gambling problem. None of them exist, but Juan writes their reports anyway, gives them personalities, family problems, expenses. Then he makes a critical mistake. He reports seeing a convoy leaving Liverpool heading north, but the information is outdated. By the time his report reaches Germany, the convoy has already reached port. The Germans send U-boats to intercept, submarines racing through dangerous waters, risking detection, expending fuel. They find nothing. Empty ocean. This should have been the end. But Juan gets lucky. The Germans look at the failed intercept and think the convoy was real. Communication delays made the intelligence arrive too late. They don't blame Juan, they blame logistics. The Germans actually promote him, give him more money, tell him to recruit more sub-agents. By mid-1942, they're paying him £600 per month, all for reports he writes in a Lisbon apartment, inventing intelligence from a country he's never visited. The Americans intercept one of Juan's messages. They alert the British that the Germans have a prolific spy in England, codename Arabel. British counterintelligence investigates. They can't find Arabel because Arabel isn't in Britain. Then someone at MI5 has a wild thought. What if Arabel is the Spanish guy who kept trying to volunteer? They track Juan down in Lisbon. This time when he offers his services, they say yes. April 1942, Juan arrives in England. MI5 assigns him a handler, Thomas Harris, an art dealer, wealthy, sophisticated, fluent in Spanish. Harris looks at Juan's imaginary network and realizes something. This isn't just a double agent, this is a weapon. Together, they expand the network. By 1944, Juan's fictional spy ring includes 27 people, 27 completely imaginary human beings. Each one has a full biography, hobbies, political beliefs, financial problems, medical issues. When Agent 3's wife gets sick, Juan writes concerned letters about her condition, files expense reports for her doctor visits, requests advance payment. The Germans send extra money immediately. When Agent 7 dies in combat, Juan requests pension payments for the widow. Juan keeps notebooks, charts, relationship maps. He's running a fictional universe where consistency is life or death. The Germans conduct regular audits, cross-reference reports, check for contradictions. Juan passes every test. But here's Juan's greatest trick. Most of his intelligence is completely accurate. Real ship movements, real troop locations, real equipment deployments. But it always arrives too late to matter. A convoy leaves Liverpool on March 3rd. Juan reports it on March 5th. Troops move through Dover on April 10th. He reports it on April 12th. Every report is accurate. Every report is useless. But this builds massive trust. By 1943, Hitler's intelligence chiefs consider Arabel their most valuable asset in Britain. They give him a salary increase, award him commendations. They're paying premium prices for information that helps them 0%. Then Juan adds the poison. Mixed into his accurate but late intelligence, he starts including carefully crafted lies. My agent near Dover reports 15 new divisions assembling. Probable target Calais. Those divisions don't exist.
MI5 and Juan are playing a long game, building credibility for one specific moment. D-Day, June 5th, 1944. 11 p.m. Tomorrow, 156,000 Allied soldiers will land in Normandy. Juan sits at his transmitter. At 11:47 p.m., he begins transmitting to his German handlers. Nobody responds. The German radio operator assigned to listen to Arabel went home early. Juan keeps trying. Nothing. This is a disaster. June 6th, 1944, 3 a.m. D-Day has begun. Allied forces are landing in Normandy. German defenders are scrambling. Chaos everywhere. Finally, the German radio operator comes back online. Juan's message is furious. The anger is calculated, believable. A real spy would be livid at being ignored during the most important moment of the war. The German operator apologizes, begs Arabel to send his intelligence now. Juan sends the message. My agents report the Normandy operation is a diversionary attack. The main invasion force, 50 divisions strong, is still in England. Target Calais. 50 divisions, 750,000 soldiers. Completely fictional. Because Juan's network has been 98% accurate for 3 years, the Germans believe him. The 15th Army, 150,000 soldiers, 600 tanks. the best equipped German force in France, all of them sitting at Calais, waiting for an invasion that exists only in Juan's imagination. Hitler wakes up on the morning of June 6th. His generals tell him Normandy is the invasion. His generals are screaming that this is the real attack. Hitler looks at Arabel's report and believes a Spanish chicken farmer he's never met. Hold the reserves at Calais. For weeks after D-Day, the German reserves stay at Calais, even as Normandy falls, even as Allied forces break out into France. The Germans keep significant forces at Calais because Arabel keeps insisting the main invasion is still coming. July 1944, Nazi Germany awards Juan Pujol García the Iron Cross, Second Class, one of their highest military honors. The citation praises Agent Arabel as a model of dedication and courage in service to the Reich. Hitler personally approves the commendation. Meanwhile, across London, another ceremony, November 1944, Buckingham Palace. King George VI awards Juan the Order of the British Empire, MBE. The citation is classified, just says for services to the nation. Subscribe to Hidden Truth Files. But there's a cost nobody talks about. Juan's first wife helped him in the early days, risked her own safety. After the war, their marriage falls apart. Imagine being married to someone who lies professionally, every day, for years. Juan stages his own death, tells friends he's sick with malaria, travels to Angola, then dies. The announcement appears in newspapers. Fake death certificate, fake burial. In reality, Juan moves to Venezuela, lives under an assumed name, cuts ties with almost everyone from his old life. For decades, the world thinks Juan Pujol García is dead. He runs a bookstore in Caracas, a quiet life. Nobody knows the bookseller with the slight Spanish accent once tricked Hitler. Then in the 1980s, a historian finds him, still alive, still sharp. Juan gives interviews, writes a memoir. The world finally learns his story. He dies in 1988, age 76, in Venezuela, far from the battlefields he influenced without ever firing a single shot. Historians estimate Juan's deception saved approximately 10,000 Allied lives on D-Day alone, maybe more in the weeks after. By keeping German reserves away from Normandy, he gave the Allies time to build an unbreakable foothold. Juan Pujol García remains one of only a handful of people in history to receive military decorations from both sides of a war. Germany gave him the Iron Cross for providing invaluable intelligence about Allied invasion plans. Britain gave him the MBE for providing invaluable misinformation about Allied invasion plans. Same work, opposite interpretations. Both sides gave him medals for the same achievement. Juan collected both medals, put them in a drawer, rarely looked at them, because medals don't erase what this life cost him. Subscribe to Hidden Truth Files. The past isn't over, it's just waiting to be uncovered. This has been Hidden Truth Files. Garbo, the spy who tricked Hitler, a man who never fired a shot and won the war.